us together.
And
And
it's
first podcast all together, all together.
all together. This is
Oh,
a crazy talk with crazy ladies.
mm-hmm. And
Crazy
so
lady talk.
excited about it. Yeah, this is gonna be so much fun. And we're gonna hopefully blow some minds, is what I hope for.
That's what I'm
Well,
hoping for too.
yep, yep. All right. And
Well, let's
just,
let's introduce ourselves.
yep, yep. Go ahead, you go first.
Okay. So, my name is Sophia Lifshitz. I am a quantum healing hypnosis technique practitioner. I'm also a channeler. So, I've heard and seen a lot of crazy stuff. And now on to Carrie.
I am Carrie Yip, and I am also a QHHT practitioner for short. And and we have known each other for some time now, and QHHT has linked us together, and I am grateful for it. In fact, she is a channeler. I am also, but I'm actually kind of a newbie compared to anybody else. QHHT actually was a step forward in helping me get here. And Sophia has been very supportive and helped me through it too. So we're here together doing our thing now.
And I have to say, QHHT was also for me how I got to channeling.
Hmm. Which is
So
interesting.
it's always a journey, right? It's always a journey.
Yes, yes. I think people might ask, like, how do we get more connected to ourselves and our abilities? And I honestly believe that everyone has the capability because we're kind of
Mhm.
born innate to have these things. Really just knowing ourselves better. And then if we're have the interest, we might do more with what we can access. And that's when we do things like this. Not everyone can channel the things that we channel, but that's okay. And that just means that they're not in that space of wanting that yet, perhaps. So I think that's
We're not wanting it all. That might not
at
be for
all.
their life. Yeah, that might not be for their lifetime.
Right.
Mine, because mine was when I had a QHHT done on me specifically. Um, that was one of my questions. Do I have any gifts? And just to explain quickly to everyone who's watching what can be done with QHHT. So, Carrie, what can be done with quantum healing hypnosis?
Well, the very first and most important thing is that we get connected to our own inner guidance, our intuition, you can call it our higher self, or subconscious on a different way. You know, the part that is in us that really directs and is the compass for us. Sometimes we, in our current life, with all the culture and everything going on, we lose touch with ourselves a bit. And QHHT is a great modality to help you get that clarity back, at least for a moment if you're not used to it. But it could trigger things, as it did for us, to get even more. So I think that is the most valuable thing we can get out of QHHT experience. What do you think, Sophie?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. I mean, the main goal of QHHT is to connect to your higher self, right? And on that level, we can heal physically, we can heal emotionally, right? Because the higher self is an all-knowing part of us, right? It knows everything in the previous lifetimes, in this lifetime, and it knows the future, right? So
Hmm.
we are able to get answers to anything and everything that we want. And that going back to my question that I had for my higher self was, what are the gifts that I have, whether I have any gifts. And they said that I do. I have a gift of clairvoyance, but I shut it down because in one of my lifetimes I was killed for it. Apparently, it wasn't
Hmm.
cool.
Hmm. Yeah.
But I wanted to be open, right? I wanted it to be open.
Hmm.
And just to let everyone know, the subconscious will never open anything right away if, as a result, it will traumatize you. So it is there to always help. It's very caring. It's very loving. So it slowly opened it up for me. Yeah. And that's how I started channeling. And I think partially also, I always say, just because I've been hypnotized a few times, well, at least probably 10, maybe more. And I'm so used to putting aside the conscious mind, right, to let the subconscious mind to come out. It's essentially the same way that we do when we channel. We kind of put aside the conscious mind to allow whatever it is that's coming to come through and use, whatever the this part of the body really. Right here. Right here.
Right, right, right. I'd like to add to that in that, first off, the healing part, definitely you can get so much healing through QHHT and yes, physical, but all of it is self-healing. No matter if it's QHHT or anything else, any other, getting some help with natural medicines or traditional medicine, in the end, it's our body and ourselves that's healing, and it's never anybody else's like doing it to us or for us. So don't think of it as this like weird old connotation of what witchiness might be like. Oh, she did something to me. There's when it comes to hypnosis and these things that we do, it's not about that. It's about us getting you to the space where you can communicate what's needed to get yourself on your own path of healing and understanding. So yeah, and with my journey, it was also QHHT, and I don't know if it's fast or slow. To me, it was all a roller coaster, but all in good, good, good. In the beginning, it seemed slow. And all of these were reactivations of things I've already trained myself in, we'll say, in past lives, we'll call it. It's something I personally, on a soul level, have interest in doing. So that's why I can do a lot of things I do. And when I started doing more of it, I'm like, oh, this is like riding a bike. That's how it feels like for me. Getting the more I got closer to my own higher self, my own guidance through my QHHT sessions of my own, or these other modalities that kind of come through, they all end up going to the same place. It's the other side is so much more connected and so much more. Yeah, I'll just go with that. It's so much more connected. Here we're here specifically to be disconnected and see what it's like to be disconnected and how to get back to being connected. So it's like it's kind of a tug and pull. And so anyway, back to QHHT. This is one way that we've gotten to, and thank you so much, Dolores, for coming up with this modality, because I think it's so simple in the fact that, I mean, it works. It just works. As long as you believe and allow, and in practices of meditation and whatnot, I'll just let go of that conscious, like needing to know everything, needing everything to be a certain way. It works wonders. That we've seen, Sophia and I have seen miracles, what we would say, when it comes to his personal understanding and healing. It's like, it's amazing where something like this can do. So it's not just QHHT, it's many things like it. But anyway,
And I
I
like
think.
how you said, it's not, well, all hypnosis, as you mentioned, is self-hypnosis, right? If we're not willing and ready,
Mm-hmm.
nothing is going to happen because we as practitioners are strictly guides. We're just guiding you and through the process, and you are truly doing all the work. And if you're not willing and ready, there's not much we can do. This is not a magic pill. We do our best. And what I always say is people always get what they need. It might not
Yes.
be what they think they need,
Yes.
right? Because our conscious mind has an idea of what it needs, where the subconscious gives us specifically what it is that we need at this moment in time.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Well,
you're
Sophia.
absolutely right. No one I was going to say you're absolutely right. No one can heal us without our agreement and without our desire for it to happen.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we have seen miracles, literally miracles, when when it's kind of like, just let's go for it. Let's do it. I'm ready.
Yep.
So, any fun stories that you have about sessions?
Fun stories. Oh, well, it's interesting where it can happen. And I don't have a specific one example for this one, but it's interesting how it can transpire. It could be very quick, or it could be a very long session. And either the case, it always ends up being what that client needs in the long run. Even as being a practitioner, I feel like sometimes you're like, oh, I wish it went better this way or that way for them, because we do it because we want to help. We want to see that, like, oh yes, thank you moment, not for us, but for the fact that they find relief, right? But sometimes you're like, oh, they didn't get exactly what they wanted from what they came in thinking that they needed, like you said before, but then they got something else. Like long term, they come back and say, how that opened up something for them that they didn't realize they needed. And I see that as a pattern. I see that as like, we go in with a certain expectation, but we don't always get the results we think we want, but we still get something. And I think that's
Mm-hmm.
very impressionable. Even in my own journey of what I do, I always, pray for certain things, because they said, oh, you get what you want. You pray for it. You can manifest it. The type of situation you want, the type of sessions you want, whatnot. And I'm like, yeah, that's great. I believe that wholeheartedly. But then I go to try to do it, and it doesn't come out exactly expected. But then it comes out later. I find out 2020 hindsight. I'll be like, oh wow, that's exactly what I needed in that moment. Actually, here is one example that seems simple, but I had my first QHHT session as a client, and I have not actually been hypnotized prior, unlike Sophia. My first regression in any sort of way was QHHT, and it's one of those sessions that we, as a person in it, be like, oh shoot, I didn't do a good job, or I must have blocked it, or you give yourself excuses that it didn't work the way, because I didn't get a past life in the first one.
Mm-hmm.
And my first one was like blackness, but I did feel something going on. So I knew something was happening. I could feel energies that I didn't feel before in different spots and in my head, and they were definitely adjusting me. And I felt presences. I've never felt presences of any sorts before. So I recognize it was definitely something happening. I wasn't doubting that, but I was still disappointed. I wanted to see a past life. I've been like praying for years to get a regression in general. I didn't know about QHHT style, but I was trying to find someone, specifically one person at the time, to get on her list. But every time you go to her list, she's sold out. It's like, yeah, okay, it's not my time. It's not my time. That's what I ended up realizing. And apparently, she was not the right person. I think is also the case. But that session, I made a list of questions, and with the body, I had a list of questions, but this one was not on there. And I was laying down, I was pretty, steady, I didn't move at all. But then one moment, I could feel my hip twitch. And I was like, I think they tweaked me. I literally said that out loud to my practitioner. And I was wondering if he saw me move, because I didn't feel like I was moving besides shaking a lot. And it anyway, evidently they fixed a physical spine issue I didn't even ask for. My whole life I had this little anterior tilt in my hip, like where my spine is, where my hip goes. And every time I got a physical, they're like, you have scoliosis? Every time they count it out. But it's just the fact that that's an issue. And I went to any physical, like, thing, they would just go and say, hey, get more neutral. You need to be more straight. And I'm like, I'm straight as I can be. And it turned out I wasn't. And they fixed it. And then for a good 2.5 weeks, I could not sleep. I could not sleep because I was so uncomfortable. My back was, it felt like it was fused. Like I could not move. It
Mhm.
was so uncomfortable. But they're like telling me, I can hear it in my head. You need to know what it's like to be neutral, normal, baseline. I'm like, oh, okay, but can you like let go for 1 minute so I can sleep? And they're like, nope. And to this day, it is neutral again, and it's interesting. I know that story went a little long, sorry, but that I
No, it's an awesome story. But it gives us
okay,
an understanding of how they truly, how the subconscious does the work, right?
yeah, yeah.
So, I mean,
They
to be
know
honest,
more than we do, for sure.
they definitely do know a lot more than we do. And we only have, like, I look at it as we only have this view, and that's it. This is
Yeah.
the view that we have, right? That's the view that the conscious mind has, and the subconscious kind of like sees it all. And I just wanted to, because you mentioned Dolores Cannon, so I just want to explain who that person is, just for those who don't know. So Dolores Cannon was the one who came up with this specific technique. She came up with it sometime in the 80s. And, well, it was a process, right? So it was a process for her, but it was. I just want to make a point that it was, more than 20 years ago, and that she came up with this technique, and it works very well. Right. And at the time when she was doing it, she was the only one who was brave enough to go further than just past lifetimes, right? She was brave enough to go into the subconscious and talk to the subconscious, um, which I find is amazing. And I'm just happy that, she did it. So she unfortunately passed in 2014, but her school still goes on, and that's the school that certified both of us. So we are certified.
Yes. Um, and
Absolutely.
we
Yeah.
actually first time met each other at one of our retreats for the school, and I think we didn't turn back then. In fact, that's when I started to open up a little, and Sophia actually already have done it for a little while with her channeling, and she kind of gave me a lot of tips on what to do, and in doing what I didn't know what I could do because I never imagined I would ever be like a psychic or anything like that. Doing readings for people. That was like one of those things I was thinking I was completely unequipped for in my whole life. And all of a sudden now I am equipped of sort and anyway, within QHHT, all the practitioners I feel a lot, no, maybe not all, but for the most part, there's a certain kind of alignment for our group. I feel like
Mhm.
that I know it sounds a little tacky, but it feels like it goes beyond this lifetime. Like we've been doing it a long time together in different ways, and it kind of shows because every time I go to, I've been to 3 of these events already, and every time I go, I always feel like I meet somebody I know deeply, even though I just met them. So,
Hmm.
I,
Absolutely.
yeah, sure enough,
I
now
think
we're
I
doing
think
this
we
together.
Yeah, I think we all in general decided to come in this lifetime and help others, right? And this is what this podcast is meant to be as well. We will, discuss certain things. And again, none of the things that we're saying are how should I put this? Um
We're not
take
dictating any.
take what feels good.
Yes, 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 exactly. Trust us, we labeled ourselves Crazy Talk for a reason. There's a lot of information out there to us is very valid and true and out there, but at the same time, many of you may disagree, and that's perfectly fine. We look forward to some perspective. We are only sharing perspective and hoping that it helps in some level for your own clarity and your own healing, and for us just to have some fun and be open and outward and be crazy together. So, thank you for spending time watching us, and I hope you continue to watch us. So, subscribe.
Yeah. Yes, smash the like button. I've been waiting
Smash
to say that.
it.
Subscribe. Because funny enough, even you and I have different viewpoints at times.
Oh, a
right?
lot. I think so.
Well,
I think we are very, very different in our perspectives, but there's certain things that align us together, I feel.
yeah, and also, just because we don't agree on certain things, it doesn't mean that I'm wrong or you're wrong. It just means that each one of us, we have our own truth that works for us, right? So, and it's, I feel like we're lacking it a little bit in the society now, is just mm, respecting the other person's view.
I think I think that's another part where just a little disagreement on in a good way is that I actually do feel like this is the perfect time for this because I do feel people are starting to be
Hmm.
better at it and be open to each
Oh,
other more.
you're slowly, like it's
But it's
very slow, but
happening.
it's
I see
starting.
it. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. It's happening and with all the negative things that we see in the world right now, I feel like there's definitely hope. And if you really look, there is hope up the wazoo. I think, and I think it's because of the way we have gone through all this rough patches together, and now we're being more open about it. We're saying
Hmm.
things that we wouldn't have normally said before because, oh, that's a little taboo, or right, or worry about being burned at the stake, we'll say. Now you might be
Remember those
proverbially,
days?
oh gosh, yes. But we can still do that to each other. I'm not saying that doesn't happen to in this level, but at the same time, I feel like we're also getting past that. I feel like now people can voice it, and we value the openness of free speech and being sovereign to our beliefs and stuff. But yeah, we do have some work to do. We need to know how to do it a little more compassionately with each other. Yeah. But yeah, I'm hopeful, and I hope we can elicit some of this for you guys to be more open to share, feel comfortable sharing, but at the same time be open to other points of views as well.
So if you have any specific topics that you would like us to talk about that you're interested in, or if you have any specific questions about really anything metaphysical, um, or QHHT related, channeling related, right? We'll do our best to answer them. And I feel like it will be a lot more fun because it will be more of a interaction with our audience, which is awesome. So if you have any questions, put them in the comments. We will absolutely, definitely respond to them in our next video. And what is it that we're going to talk about in our next video, Carrie?
Well, we're gonna start with something light and easy. We're gonna talk about love.
Light and easy.
All right. Well, with that, thank you all for your time, and we look forward to having some fun and dragging you along with us if you're willing.
Absolutely. Come have fun with some crazy ladies. What can go wrong?
All right, guys. See you soon.
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe and like. Bye.
Bye.